Rebel forces toppled the regime of Syria's Bashar al-Assad, prompting questions now about what comes next for Syria and also what comes next for the Middle East. Joining us right now, Council on Foreign Relations President Michael Froman. He's, of course, former U.S. Trade Representative. I want to thank Michael for joining us this morning. It's great to see you. It has been a wild weekend, or last 72 hours, if not longer than that. Tell us what you think has just happened, but more importantly, tell us what you think it actually means.
Well, that's for sure. It's been an incredible period of time here. First of all, it's a big loss for Russia, Iran, and Hezbollah, the three parties who are really propping up the Assad regime, to see how quickly he collapsed, his army collapsed. And it demonstrates their weakened state, their weakened capability of supporting him. And going forward now, Iran cannot really supply Hezbollah through Syria, so Hezbollah is more isolated. Iran loses access to the Mediterranean. Russia has two bases in Syria. It's unclear what the disposition of those bases are, and it's really a reflection of how much Israel has degraded Hezbollah and weakened Iran that has led to, in part, to this the success of the rebels. Having said that, Andrew, it's not time to break out the champagne. The group that has won, HTS, and its leader, al-Jawlani. HTS has roots in al-Qaeda. Al-Jawlani has a U.S. bounty on his head. He has been sending signals of late that he has distanced himself from that legacy and that he is open to being more tolerant of Syria's various communities, Christian, Druze, Sunni communities. And so he is trying to demonstrate that he shouldn't be a worry to the neighboring parties. But having an Islamist state on the border of Israel and taking over a significant country like Syria is something that all the parties in the region will be looking to and looking at very carefully.
So, Ambassador, what happens to Syria next? But I think the real question, therefore, becomes if you believe that, for example, Iran is now exposed in some way, how does that change the dynamic in the Middle East as it relates to the United States, as it relates to Israel? I mean, I think that there's so many different cross currents here to this story.
Well, this is certainly a further weakening of Iran right now. They've lost a major ally there. They've lost their capacity to support their proxies in Syria and, of course, Hezbollah in Lebanon as well. So it's a serious weakening there. I think from the U.S. perspective, the U.S. has about 900 troops in Syria, keeping an eye particularly on ISIS. The U.S. is very concerned about the resurgence of ISIS in the context of this vacuum. And you saw that the U.S. struck 75 ISIS targets over the weekend, that Israel struck the chemical weapons capabilities of Syria. So there's still a lot of uncertainty and instability and potential security issues that could arise with all the chaos going on in Syria right now.
And what happens to Syria next, though, itself?
The answer is nobody really knows. I mean, HTS is there in charge. We'll see if it's able to consolidate its powers, being supported, the SNA, the Syrian National Army, being supported by Turkey as well. So it seems to be in the position to establish order there. What kind of order that will be, whether it will be a tolerant society, whether it's going to lead to refugee flows out of Syria, a humanitarian crisis, or those are all issues that the U.S. and others are very much focused on. You saw Israel putting troops in the buffer zone between itself and Syria to send the signal that this should not be an opportunity for forces to take advantage of the chaos in the country to pose a risk, further risk to Israel. So it's unclear at this point. You know, I think if we can look back, Andrew, at the history of the Arab Spring, you know, countries like Egypt and Tunisia ended up with strongmen. Countries like Libya and Yemen ended up in internal civil wars. So it's very unclear at this point, where things are so dynamic, what the medium or long-term disposition of Syria could be.
So al-Jawlani, if he has a U.S. bounty on his head, what does that mean in terms of how the U.S. officially is going to deal with that group?
Yeah, it's a great question, Becky. It's unclear. I mean, he's certainly sending signals, including in an interview he did with CNN recently, that he is a different person than the person who was associated with Al Qaeda and the person that the U.S. put the bounty on the head on. I think we have to look at not just his words but his deeds, how he treats the people in Syria, whether he is tolerant and allows for a multi-cultural, multi-religious society to exist, and whether he's able to relieve the incredible oppressive regime that Assad had put in place and that the start of the civil war back in 2011.
What do you think this does to the strength of Bibi Netanyahu?
I think this is another indication that the attack on Hezbollah and the weakening of Hezbollah has been successful, has been a positive in terms of Netanyahu's strategy. And if the ceasefire in Lebanon holds, you have a much weakened Hezbollah and now much more isolated from their Iranian supporters. It is probably a positive for him.
Ambassador Froman, you can think of a lot of times when a strongman was taken out, that vacuum of power led to really bad things. Saddam Hussein, nobody wanted Hussein around, but what came afterwards was such chaos and so much awfulness. You can think of Gaddafi. Are there examples where a strongman's been taken out and there was actually a really positive turn of events?
Good question.
It's a very good question. Look, we're not likely to see a Jeffersonian democracy in Syria anytime soon. But each situation is different. Each country is different. And we had the end of the Cold War. You had strongmen taken out of Eastern Europe, and of course that led to, with a lot of outside support, Western integration, led to a much more positive situation.